And because of that, it's really causing marketing specialists to become less and less necessary. And I want a good show, damn it. Ready for a good show?
Doing awesome, yeah. I'm excited to talk to you, Angie. Thank you for having me.
Yes!
Always been doing flying in archery, and my dad said, "Hey, you guys want to start an archery store?" Because that's how it was.
Andrew, yes, of course, let's do this together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. Host Andrew Maff. Today I'm going to talk to you about content ideas for social media when you don't have a graphic designer available to you. For those of you who are watching, you'll see I have my laptop with me this time because I finally wrote down, I had a bigger list this time, so I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it. So not having a graphic designer available. So I always suggest investing in a good graphic designer. This is your brand. It's how it looks. If you're half-assing your graphic designers because you wanted to save a couple bucks, you're probably going to lose more than you actually saved almost every time. So let's say they're out sick because you did get one, or you found even a great freelancer that you love that has the availability. And by the way, if you do that, you get a freelancer, first job you should have them do is make a brand guideline, because if all of a sudden you don't like the freelancer anymore, or they leave, or they become less responsive or something like that, you always want to make sure you have a brand guideline, so when you hire the next one, it's like a templated process, super easy. However, here's the list. So content ideas, if you don't have a graphic designer available. The biggest one, the top one, which we've talked about on the podcast before, is UGC. So if you can get some user-generated content, it's great. You can simply just share stuff that people have shared before. They're already posting about your product. If you have influencers who are sharing stuff, or even just regular customers, that stuff is great. So any kind of UGC that you can get, typically I would even suggest, even if you had a graphic designer, use that stuff and don't touch it, because UGC is a raw, like your product in the wild kind of picture, and even cleaning it up or adding kind of like your logo to or anything like that can immediately make it not look that real. You want it to be like an organic, true picture. Take it, leave it as is. Another one is GIFs. I love GIFs. If you say GIFs, stop listening to my podcast. But yeah, so GIFs. For me, they work really well in emails. They work fantastic. We use them all the time for certain brands where, like a goofy kind of GIF can work well. Twitter, it works really well. Then you can add them onto stories and things like that for Instagram. I wouldn't suggest doing them on Facebook. They don't look that good. They don't really look that great if you do them as like an Instagram video either. You kind of have to, it still has to be an MP4. It's a whole different issue. But GIFs in certain channels works really well. Sharing videos. So companies like Buzzsprout, BuzzFeed does them a lot, but we do this specifically on Facebook where, because Facebook, I still like to get as much engagement as we can on company pages on Facebook, just because obviously you can re-engage, and there's really great ways that you can leverage that kind of stuff. It's difficult to get traffic or to get engagement on Facebook if you're just posting a picture, unless you're boosting it. And on Facebook, what works really well is we'll actually find videos that other channels have shared that are great videos that are really relevant to our audience, and we'll just share them to our page. We'll keep the other page's name there. We're not stealing it. We're just sharing it. They still get all the credit and all that stuff, but we get all the engagement. We get all the traffic. They get the video views. It works really, really well. It works fantastically on YouTube, or on Facebook. Stuff like that, retweeting and things like that on Twitter can work well too. But if you can reshare videos on Facebook that are already getting like millions of views, it works out great. Sharing influencer posts works really well, even if they haven't mentioned your company. So sometimes what we'll do is, if we're thinking about working with an influencer, we'll actually share a post that's kind of relevant to the product line we're working with on that product line's social media to kind of see how people respond. And if some of our audience says, oh my God, I love so-and-so, I'm glad you guys shared this or something like that, we know that they like that influencer, and we'd be more than happy to do some kind of campaign with them. So it's kind of like testing the influencer a little bit. And of course, we'll give them credit. You always want to share. You always want to tag them and that kind of fun stuff, especially if you do it on Instagram. Quotes, inspirational quotes and that kind of crap. I'm not a fan of them, but depending on your product line, it could do really well. I know some people who do like sports apparel and stuff like that. They do quotes from coaches. That kind of thing works pretty well. I don't like the motivational stuff just because it drives me insane, but it can work. It can definitely work well. Any kind of quote like that can work pretty well. Jokes, especially if you have, in fact, we worked with like a novelty gift company for a long time. And we started doing quotes for them with just jokes that we were able to find. So we would do different jokes and throw them up on different channels and stuff like that. That worked really well because they were kind of racy jokes. And then the backup idea. So this is if you have a graphic designer that you can leverage and you can actually get them to set you up on Canva, have them create templates in Canva, and then have them even just put an SOP together of the really, really easy ways to adjust the template. So if you're putting in words, you're putting in quotes, anything like that, that's the simplest way to leverage stuff that you may have already had a designer do. Or even if you have like slight design abilities, do Canva, take some of their templates for a while and just tweak them yourself for a bit. Until you can get an actual designer to come in and kind of make new stuff. But Canva's got some great templates that you can leverage if you're kind of looking to just like a starter kit kind of thing.
Today's episode is brought to you by Finale Inventory. Meet Finale Inventory, the ultimate solution for accurate and efficient inventory management. Trusted by thousands of brands, Finale Inventory offers seamless integrations with over 80 sales channels and platforms. With customizable workflows and reporting features, Finale empowers you to streamline operations and scale your business with ease, preventing overselling and maximizing profitability. Whether you're juggling multiple platforms, expanding your product range, or just looking for a way to reduce operational chaos, Finale has the tools you need to succeed. Step into the future of e-commerce with Finale Inventory.
So what I'm talking about here specifically is kind of making your customer or your audience in any way feel like they are a part of an exclusive group that got this deal. So I'm talking about, let's say if you go to a concert, someone spends a little bit of extra money to get a VIP ticket, even though they spent the extra money, they actually in the end feel like they actually got more out of it and will brag to other people that they got a lot out of it. I'm not necessarily talking about asking people to pay more to get more, because that's really just an upsell. But I'm actually talking a little bit about just trying to find a way to make them feel like they're a VIP. So there's a few different ways you can do this. So it kind of depends on things that you may have had set up already. So one of the first things would be like exclusive groups, right? So if you have a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or something along those lines that you've created, maybe a Slack community channel or something like that, which would be a little bit more B2B, but still. Let's say you've created something along those lines, right? If you offer that specific group their own discount that's a little bit higher than whatever you're publicizing, they're going to feel like they got a better deal for being a part of that exclusive group. The biggest benefit of that as well is obviously minus the fact that you might have a higher engagement rate just because that audience is already much more of an advocate than anyone else is. But they're going to be so excited that they got that little extra deal that others weren't able to get, that word of mouth about that group will grow, in which case more people will join that group, and hopefully you can repeat this same kind of thing next year or later on for a different campaign. Now, not everyone has a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or something like that already up and running. If you don't, I suggest doing that too. There's another podcast about that. Go listen to that one. The other thing you can do, so another one was newsletters. So there's two ways to do this one. So you can offer people who are on your email list a certain discount. So I've done this before where essentially the website banner has, 10% off. Then maybe I publicize on social media that we're doing 10% off or something like that, big 10% off deal. And then I send out a newsletter that says something along the lines of, we have an offer only for our newsletter subscribers or something like that. And now you're offering them 20% off. So they're going to not only be more inclined to open that email because you're offering them more than what everyone else is getting, they're also going to be inclined to not unsubscribe from that email because of this different thing that you do every now and then. So by offering your newsletter subscribers and basically segmenting your audience into different ways, specifically one for newsletter subscribers, you can now offer them something completely different. There's an even deeper way you can get into that. We used to do something like this at a company I worked for years ago. It worked pretty well. It wasn't the most ethical thing in the world, but it worked. It was technically, I guess in theory, you could say it was false advertising. I wasn't a huge advocate of it, but it worked, so I guess who cares? A lot of e-commerce sellers, you offer a warranty. Technically, there are some legalities to what you have to do with a warranty and how you can offer it and how someone can obtain one. But what we used to do is just say, enter your order number and then enter your email address, and we will put a warranty on every product that you purchased with that order. But what would happen is the only way they would have gotten that information would be something that we put in the box that we sent out for the product, in which case they would go to this special exclusive group warranty / landing page thing, sign in. We would really just put their email into a regular list and then just kind of ignore their order because we basically just gave a warranty to everyone. And now we had a very special list of people who we knew purchased with us before. We could, in theory, go and look and see what it is that they had purchased with us prior. But it's also someone who took the time to actually open up the box, find this pamphlet in there, want to warranty their product, so they cared enough about the product line. So that was a bit more like our exclusive group. And what we used to do is to tell people that if you get your product warranty, you're also signing up for this group where you're going to get special discounts and things like that. So that's basically a separate segmented audience in your newsletter that you could offer a different discount. You could you could segment your audience in your newsletter however the fuck you want. I really don't care. You could give girls versus boys a completely different discount. You could do north versus south. Like, you could do it in any different way you want. I really don't care. But it's an interesting way to do it, and I've seen it work very well. Another one's interesting. I've seen this work really well. I don't like doing it, but it's kind of like a purchase order, kind of like a back order kind of thing, where you apply to purchase. So this will be very dependent on your product line, and it's only going to really work for slightly more expensive products. I would say in the 100 to 200 plus range, where you can actually say, we only have 1,000 of these. So you're doing the standard exclusivity kind of thing where you only have so much. But then say, we're not giving it to the first 1,000, we're giving it to the first 1,000 that qualify. And then you're saying, we only want to give it to 1,000 people that are a certain way or a certain something, or who can really convince us that they need it this holiday or something like that. So now you're asking people to apply to purchase for your product line. It makes it extremely exclusive. It makes them extremely excited to spend the money in itself, just because they're like, oh, great, I got accepted because my story was awesome or whatever. But that can work. I've seen it work really well. It's very specific product lines that type of thing works for, but it can work. And then last on my list was early access to products for market research. So this one's basically, we're going to allow X amount of people to purchase this product under the pretense that they fill out a survey, and you're doing it for market research. And then you just say that it's highly discounted. So you sell a product normally for $40. Instead of doing a 30% off discount, you just discount the top price by 30%, sell it to them for that price, and then say, all we ask, since this is a new product line, is for you to fill out this survey. So it's interesting that they can kind of start to feel like it's an exclusive group that's being allowed to purchase this product early at a very inexpensive rate, but you're also getting free market research out of it. So that one's interesting and great for new product lines. I don't know if I would suggest that one for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because I usually don't suggest at this time, because it's already a little late into the season, to announce a new product. But if you are, I hope you're doing a big ass campaign behind it. But it is something interesting to think about going forward that you can do for any campaign. I'm going to talk to you about something that blew my fucking mind. Yes, I said it. I can't believe this is a thing. I love I have a love-hate relationship with the internet. I love it because it's where I make a living, and I hate it because the society of just people who make up dumb shit on the internet blows my mind. But I'm going to talk to you today about meme marketing, which is totally a thing. Not only is it a thing, there are companies who hire people whose sole job it is to do this. It's insane. It's ridiculously just stupid, but it works. So I get it. I'm not a fan of like the internet lingo and like, oh, you know, when people hop on like really dumb trends, like it just drives me fucking crazy. But this works, and memes have been around for a decade or so now, so it is what it is. So I'll talk a little about meme marketing. The first thing I'm going to mention, so it's imageflip.com, but it's imgflip.com. So this is a website you can use to create memes. There's 500 other out there. I think there's like memegenerator.com. Go to Google and search meme generator. You'll be fine. So what I'm talking about, though, is leveraging these memes to basically connect with your audience. Now, there's companies out there, and I thought, damn it, I didn't. So meme managers are totally a thing, and I thought I wrote down a list of companies I saw that were hiring for this role. But if you go to LinkedIn and you search as a job meme manager, it's totally a fucking thing. It's great. So the job of this person is to not only create memes that are relevant to the product line, but to also make sure that they're on top of trends. So they're basically spending their entire day reading and creating memes and figuring out how to leverage them to basically hand off to the social media team, or maybe used in blogs or newsletters or something like that, to actually drive more engagement and more traffic. So why does this work? So this works mainly because the easiest way to connect with someone is through humor. So you can connect by, really big life-changing experiences. You can connect by, really sad things that both happen to you and find that kind of commonality between the two of you. But there's one thing that you don't really have to find a commonality between you two, except for the fact that you both laughed. Or you both smiled is essentially the thing I'm looking at. So you can basically say, if you went to a concert and you met someone and you knew nothing about them, but you both were losing your minds during this concert you were watching, you both realize that you have a commonality, you're having fun, it's easier to bond with that person. Same thing goes with humor. So for memes, the whole point is being that you can actually drive more traffic, you can actually engage more people, and you can actually develop an even bigger conversation by creating memes, because some of these memes are more opinionated. Others are really just for laughs. The other thing that's nice about these two is, think about, what's an example? Okay, so I hope everyone in their lives has to work in hospitality. But I served for a while and bartended. And one of the things I noticed was that our favorite thing to do to kind of relax from a busy shift or from just a rough day was to basically talk shop with the other servers and other bartenders while still joking around, right? So we would make fun of other people, or we would make fun of customers we had or something like that, just to kind of laugh about it together and ease up the day. And so memes are relatively similar. So if you can actually create your own memes that are targeted to your own audience and you start to post those things, it would blow your mind how quickly they start to blow up, just because people are starting to realize, oh, there's a way I can connect to this. I relate to this. So it works really friggin' well. You can create them around your product line. It kind of depends on your product line. If you try too hard, I find that it doesn't work very well. And by doing that, I kind of mean like, if you got a picture of someone smiling and your copy in the meme just said, oh, when you purchase, blank new product, it's kind of like, shut up. Like, you're trying way too hard. You have to find a way to connect with them and not necessarily make it a sales pitch. So it's perfect for social media, hence why you typically see these things on social media. And then you obviously need to make sure you're creating memes for your audience. So yes, you can make memes about things that are funny in general, but it's not specific to your audience. And they followed you for a reason. And that reason was because they had an interest in what it is you sell in that specific community. So let's say, let's say you sell desks. I'm looking at my desk, so I'm Kaiser Sozeing this bitch. So let's say you sell desks and you primarily focus on people who work from home, right? Big, huge audience right now. You're not going to really crack jokes about, political stuff. You're not going to crack jokes about football. You're not going to do things that in theory could be related, where yes, football has a big market, so maybe there's a lot of people who buy desks that also watch football. That's true, but they started following you because you had an interest. They had an interest in working from home and that lifestyle. So you want to make sure that your memes are based around that. So honestly, meme creation, super easy and super difficult at the same time. It's the perfect social media thing where posting on social media is very easy, but being great at social media is very hard. So it's two different things. You kind of have to look into what memes are out there that are trending, because old memes start to fall off. Like that little kid who's got his fist up. He's actually eating sand, by the way. If you look and there's an article on it you can read where he's eating sand. But I'm moving on. But no one really uses that one anymore. The new ones now, Leonardo DiCaprio's everywhere for some reason. So are those little troll-looking things from whatever game it is people are playing right now. But you need to look at making sure that you're creating them for your audience so that your audience can relate to it. And then obviously if you're trying to make sales, if you can incorporate your product, great, but don't force it. But I would definitely suggest trying it. Give it a shot. Create a handful of memes. Schedule them out, typically on social media, and see what the response is. Then you can start to leverage them in different ways. I've seen people do great stuff on blogs where they'll do a section that's got a little bit of a character, kind of like comical character to it. So they'll add in a meme just to kind of break up the monotony of all the copy. It's a great way to do it. It's a great way to try it. I would not suggest hiring a meme manager just yet, but if you actually start this and it works really well, you may want to have one for someone who's creating this stuff full time.
Thank you for tuning in to the E-Comm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The E-Comm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the E-Comm Show.